May I now introduce our next speaker, Mr. Khalid Hamad, the Executive Director of Banking Supervision at the Central Bank of Bahrain. Mr. Hamad has held several senior posts at the Central Bank of Bahrain. His current responsibilities include supervision of all banking institutions, including Islamic banks, as well as inspections of all financial institutions, comprising banks, insurance firms, investment companies, and capital market players. Mr. Hamad began his career in 1987 with the Bahrain Monetary Agency, the predecessor of the Central Bank of Bahrain. Mr. Hamad is chairman of the International Islamic Financial Market, IIFM, chairman of the Waqf Fund for Research, Education and Training in Islamic Finance. He has also served on a number of national and regional committees, including the GCC's Banking Supervision Committee, Arab Banking Supervision Committee, and Offshore Group of Banking Supervisions. Mr. Hamad has a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Portland, USA, and a strategic leadership and executive management program certificate from University of Columbia in New York. May I now introduce Mr. Hamad, ask Mr. Hamad to kindly deliver his speech to us. Mr. Hamad, please.
Thank you, Brother Abu Tariq, for your introduction. Your Excellency, Mr. Kamal bin Ahmed, the Minister of Transportation and Telecommunication, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the Central Bank of Bahrain to this two-day summit. I thank the Ministry of Transportation and Telecommunications, Bahrain Bourse, Tamkeen, and the organizers for arranging this summit. I also thank the sponsors for their support to make it happen. Speaking today in an environment which is dominated by the considerations of COVID-19. The pandemic has affected every day of our life across the world. It has had significant economic and social implications for both the developed and the developing countries. Governments and central banks had to come up with fiscal stimulus and monetary to combat the pandemic. Interest rates are at a record low in many jurisdictions and negative in some countries. Lockdowns have resulted in negative GDP growth across the world and record unemployment levels. A natural consequence of low economic growth is lower demand for oil, resulting in lower prices. An environment that raises a lot of unconventional challenges as well as consequences and risks. Amid this doom and gloom, if there is one silver lining, it is the acceleration in the digitalization trend. Online banking, online shopping, online education, telemedicine, online meetings, online entertainment, all have seen unusual rise during the last 10 months. And underlying all these online services is online or e-payments. The focus of today's summit. Arguably, the online payments industry may well be the biggest beneficiary of the pandemic. Let me share with you some statistics from Bahrain. Transaction volume with electronic funds transfer system, EFTS, increased 4 times between October 2019 and October 2020. This is primarily due to the 7 times increase in Fawri Plus transactions volume, online transfer of up to BD 1000 in few seconds. In the last year's summit in March 2019, I had raised some key questions about the age of disruption and how the regulators and the industry are supposed to respond to the technological changes and continue to remain relevant. The last 19 months have given us some clarity in answering these questions, which I would like to share with you today. Please note that in a fluid macro environment, we need to continue to fine-tune our approach, and our thinking must continue to evolve with time. The first and perhaps the most critical question is how to balance regulatory prudence and conservatism with innovation and change being brought about via fintech. We are being challenged every day by new innovative technology and new ways of doing business. As others, we are experiencing innovative technological development, which will accrue significant benefits to the economy as a whole, as well as firms and consumers. We should think outside the box in order to see the benefits. For example, at a time when most central banks were hesitant to regulate and license payment service providers, the CBP coming to the industry, the most important question facing the financial services industry is how to match the service and cost effectiveness offered by big tech, such as Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon, without really compromising on compliance and risk. And a related question is, should big tech be subjected to the same compliance and risk parameters as banks? Or should these restrictions be relaxed for everyone? We believe that banks and insurance companies have to shake up themselves and improve their customer experience significantly to survive the upcoming. I must warn you, CBP will not use regulations to ward off competition when it clearly benefits the customer. Our approach is flexible in some areas where we are happy to offer light touch regulations, while it is uncompromising in others such as compliance, AML, and safety. Another interesting phenomena that we have observed over the past 19 months is the increasing interaction of telecommunication companies with fintech. The experience of such partnerships has so far proved to be a rewarding arrangement for more innovative, efficient, and customer-centric financial solutions. Another question is how banking services will change after the introduction of open banking. Bahrain is among the few countries in the region and perhaps in the world that have introduced a comprehensive open banking framework. The CBP engaged a consultant to prepare open API, technical specifications, customer experience guidelines, operational guidelines, and security standards. The revised framework was issued in 2020. It is the first open banking framework in the whole of Middle East and Africa. Through the above engagements, we came out with several use cases for open banking services, out of which only 2 were lightly introduced so far. This tells us that the potential for open banking services and its impact on financial services will be significant. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of our the commissioned a study on the digital strategy for the future. The study has recently been completed, and we will soon be acting upon its many recommendations. After an extensive study of about 100 disrupting technologies, it has come up with some enhancement on existing requirements covering payments framework, cloud policy, cyber measures, EKYC platform, and open banking rules, which are affecting customers as well. Lastly, I want to talk about the application of artificial intelligence, shortly known for AI, in the financial service industry. For the last decade or so, AI has been the big promise, but so far we haven't seen much in terms of actual use cases in banking supervision or in financial services. AI can be effectively used in anti-fraud measures, real-time monitoring of movements in customers' accounts, development through consumer behavior trends analysis, customer risk profiling and due diligence, internal audit, compliance testing, risk management, product offering, and much more. We hope to witness some progress on the use of AI in the near future, as the CBP recently required retail banks, financing companies, and payment service providers to apply real-time monitoring of movements in customers' accounts. Your Excellency, thank you for your kind attention. I have shared with you my current thinking in addressing those profound questions. By no means is this the final word on the subject. Understanding are evolving, as is everything else around us. But at the same time, we also need to latch on to some solid anchors while making important decisions. I hope that the discussion during the summit will control of these issues. I look forward to a productive summit, and thank you.